city trader husband who was left with just 325,000 pounds of his Harris ex's 61.5 million pound fortune wins divorce appeal after gender bias claims. Yeah, literally all he had to do was point at every other celebrity divorce. Like, hey, if our genders were reversed, you would have given me like at least half of that. Yeah, this ain't gonna stand. A city trader who blamed gender prejudice after being handed 325,000 of his ex-wife's $60 million or pound family fortune has won a bitter appeal case to have his settlement looked at again. Good. And if you guys don't like it, then get rid of it the other way too. Because how much you want to bet that this woman's defense is, but it's my money. I'm the one that did the work and earned it. He didn't do anything. Like, man, that argument sounds very familiar for some reason. It never seems to work when men try it, though. Simon Antwistle's 3-year marriage to Jandy Helwell ended in current year -3, but he was awarded just 0.5% of her fortune. He blamed gender prejudice for the decision and has won his case in the Court of Appeal in London, meaning the settlement will not be considered again at the High Court. And they better be very careful, too, because this is going to have a direct impact on how many more men even want to risk this. Yeah, men are already walking away. Do you want to push them away faster? Because this is how it happens. You better rule correctly on this. Appeal judges ruled Jandy had engaged in fraudulent behavior by not declaring almost 48 million pounds of her 6 million pound personal fortune whilst making a prenuptial agreement. Oh, dude, now men get to take advantage of the prenup bullshit, huh? Like just, I was under duress and just throw it out. The couple had married at a lavish 500,000 pound wedding in Paris. God damn! What a waste of money. Holy shit, I could have maxed out every gacha game I play with that. Why don't you just give me that money? I'll actually put it to better use. Mr. Antwistle enjoyed the trappings of being made into a family of exceptional wealth, it was said. They were living in the 4.5 million pound villa in Dubai, gifted to Miss Helwell by her father, a wealthy Dubai-based British businessman, Neil Helwell. But they split after 3 years, with Miss Helwell getting lawyers to order her then husband out of the family home with just 48 hours notice. Now, that's another thing he could claim gender discrimination on. How would that have gone over if the genders were reversed? Could a guy evict his wife from the family home in 48 hours like this? I don't think so. Yeah, usually they'll arrest him so she can stay there. The pair, both 42, then went to court over the money. Mr. Antwistle, originally from Bolton, asked for a $2.5 million from his interior designer ex-wife's personal fortune. Dude, she had over $60 million. All he asked for was $2.5 million. That's a fucking steal. If the genders were reversed, she'd be demanding at least half. Dude, this might really boost his case there. All he asked was 2.5 out of 60 million, and they couldn't even give him that? Oh, hell yeah. He's definitely going to get at least that much if this keeps up. Mr. Antwistle claimed he required 36,000 pounds a year for flights and 26,000 a year for on a meal plan just for himself because he admitted I can't even cook an omelet, the court heard. Oh, God, he's even using the same arguments women use. Oh, I'm accustomed to living like I'm rich, so she should have to pay for me for the rest of my life so I can keep living like I'm rich. Well played, dude. Use their own bullshit against them. The judge told him being married to a rich person for 3 years does not suddenly catapult you into a right to live like that after the relationship has ended. Good. Now tell that to women who make that same argument. Tell that to women that demand that they need to be paid what they're accustomed to. Use this as precedent, guys. The painful divorce from Miss Helwell culminated in an award in his favor of 400,000 pounds, a sum which was reduced to 325,000 after a deduction for Miss Helwell's costs. When a divorce judge said the 3-year marriage did not entitle him to maintain a lavish lifestyle once the relationship ended. But he was left with a 0.5% share of the pot after the judge upheld a prenuptial agreement the pair had signed, promising they would each keep their own assets even in the event of a split. Appealing that ruling, Mr. Antwistle said he was a victim of gender prejudice and the prenup had been invalidated because by Miss Helwell having failed to disclose assets worth almost $48 million, amounting to 73% of her wealth on documents when he signed it. Now, I do have one question, though. How would that have, why would they hide this? So if the whole point was to disclose everything you owned to make sure that, you get to keep it when you split, why would she have hidden it? There has to be more to this story. Now, Lady Justice King has ruled that the non-disclosure by the Harris amounted to a fraudulent behavior, which has invalidated the prenup. Yeah, you see this, Lady Justice. This is once again proving what I've been saying all along. When it comes to women and pulling their bullshit, female judges, as fellow women, they know all the games, they know all the lies, they know all the BS, and they're usually not having it. It's men, it's male judges being simps. They're the primary culprit when it comes to the sentencing gap. They're the ones that keep letting women off easy if they look remotely attractive and turn on the waterworks. Now, if you try that with a woman, though, that pisses her off even more. So female judges are actually preferable. Like if you're a man going through a BS divorce case like this, a female judge is actually preferable. You're much more likely to get a favorable ruling than from a simp-ass man. She allowed Mr. Antwistle's appeal and sent the case back to the divorce courts, ordering it to be calculated as if the prenuptial agreement did not exist. Willful or fraudulent breach of the agreement, such that the disclosure made bears no resemblance on the true wealth of the party, is capable of being material non-disclosure, which deprives the other party of the information that they have agreed is necessary in order for them to decide whether to agree to the prenuptial agreement. Oh, so are they trying to say that, well, if he knew she was that rich, he never would have signed the prenup? It's possible. Yeah, it's very possible. Saying, no, I was ruled against by a female judge. No, there's never a guarantee. I'm just saying you have a higher chance with a female judge than a male one. Because male judges, 99% of the time, they're going to simp for the women. Female judges, you got at least a 50-50 chance. So it's never guaranteed. Since the husband in this instance was deliberately deprived of information which it had been agreed that he should have, in my judgment, the agreement cannot stand. After the original hearing, High Court Judge Mr. Justice Francis found that the husband's personal assets were worth around £850,000, including a flat in Salford where he had lived with his first wife before moving to Dubai. Ms. Helwell, by contrast, was worth around £66 million, with her wealthy father having gifted valuable assets and put some of his business interests in her name. Helwell had offered to pay him first $500,000, then £800,000 to avoid a court battle, but he refused, holding out for the $2.5 million. Yeah, what a fucking greedy 304. Again, if the genders were reversed, the woman would be asking for $33 million minimum, plus monthly and yearly payments after that. All he asked for was $2.5 million out of the 66, and that is too much, apparently. Dude, they should award him $25 million just for that. Now, the parties went through this painful litigation, and the husband is actually worse off now than he would have been if he never bought the claim in the first place, which is tragic for everyone, the judge commented. But he declined to hand the husband any more money, calling his budget of needs aspirational, including an astonishing claim of £36,000 a year for flights and £26,000 a year for a meal plan. He said to me he can't even cook an omelet, to which my answer was, learn. It's not difficult, said the judge. Now, this judge better say the same thing to a woman when she tries that shit. You do not have to be a master chef to learn how to eat reasonably well. He added, being married to a rich person for 3 years does not suddenly catapult you into the right to live like that after the relationship has ended. Again, you use this as a precedent and tell women the same thing. Given that his own costs were £450,000, the award left Mr. Antwistle £125,000 out of pocket. A scenario, as barrister argued, would not have materialized were their roles reversed. Yeah, if the roles were reversed, they would have made her pay his legal fees. They would have stolen her money so he can use it to sue her. Like that's generally what they do. Like when a woman in a divorce takes it to court, they force the man to pay for the person who's suing them. That is how broken the courts are. But I guess when you're the victim of gender bias and discrimination like this guy is, they didn't make her pay for his fees. They sure as fuck would have made him pay for hers, though, if the roles were reversed. Yeah, this is blatant discrimination. Challenging the judge's ruling in the Court of Appeal, Deborah Bangay, KC for Mr. Antwistle, said the judge was warned against gender prejudice but failed to heed that warning. Yup. You guys know exactly what cards to play. Had the positions been reversed, it's very unlikely he would have so ungenerously assessed the needs of a wife after a 6-year relationship. He also argued that the prenuptial agreement, which had been key in the husband's low reward, was invalidated by Miss Helwell's failure to disclose her full wealth, stating that she was worth about 18 million pounds rather than her full 6 million fortune. Lady Justice King, giving her ruling, made no finding on the gender prejudice argument, but said that the prenup, the wife disclosed 18 million of assets, including multi-million pound property portfolios in Dubai and France. The wife, however, failed to include the 47 or almost 48 million pounds of assets owned by her. This included almost 40 million worth in business assets, 8 million worth of beachfront land in Dubai, and almost 2 million pound house in Wimbledon. The husband and wife entered into agreement on the day they married, July 12th, current year -6. Upon divorce, each party would retain their own separate property and split any jointly owned property as to 50% each. At the heart of the dispute is whether the wife's undoubted failure to disclose the majority of her substantial wealth would have the consequence that the agreement should not be upheld in court. Yeah, again, if their genders were reversed, they wouldn't even need to be discussing it. They would have just thrown the prenup out. And if this doesn't work, the guy should use the next woman tactic and cry and say he was coerced into signing it, and therefore it's invalid. In the present case, the non-disclosure of the majority of her assets by the wife was undoubtedly deliberate. Yeah, there is literally no way you just forget to list like 75% of what you own. Yeah, this has to have, and you know she had her lawyers look into it too. They knew. They told her. Oh yeah, next step. He should say that she struggle snuggled him. Yeah. Oh, she was abusive. Let's go, man. Let's pull out all the stops until we actually get some gender equality here.